Hello, and welcome to Season 4 of the Laundromat Millionaire Show.
Holy cow, Season 4. I mean, we're 60 episodes into this, guys.
This is episode 61.
61.
And we have a wonderful guest, a wonderful surprise for you, and if you stay till the end, even an offer.
Yeah.
So today's guest is Brett Lyon. He's here with us, sitting here now, one of our very rare, only our second ever, in podcast room guest.
In studio.
In studio.
Okay.
I was like, I couldn't find the word.
Yeah.
So anyway, but Brett is a marketing genius.
He's been doing ads for us for about 9 months, guys. We have an exciting announcement. We have all kinds of incredible value when it comes to all things digital marketing, specific for the laundromat industry. So whether you're doing pickup and delivery, dry cleaning, drop off, or good old-fashioned self-serve core business type stuff, we're going to dig deep on how to improve your Google business listing, Google ads, some up-and-coming hot topics like Geo-Fencing, and we have got the man in studio here in Cincinnati to try to bring you some value today. So let's jump right into this episode because we think you're going to get a lot of value out of it.
Okay, before we get started on today's episode, we do want to take a moment to remind you of a very cool opportunity that we just started on our website. If you haven't heard about it yet, it's the Laundromat Millionaire community. It is a membership where you can gain access to everything that we have about laundromats. So products that we've created, forms you can download, all kinds of stuff that we use in our laundromat that you can use in yours. Even a searchable video library in case you're researching the industry or certain aspects of the industry.
Yeah, you get discounts. You get the ability to chat with me in a more intimate setting on very specific topics. You get distributor and product reviews from users in the community. It's a behind-the-scenes intimate community that I'm very involved in. We're very passionate about, and we'd love for you to check it out on our website. Go to laundromatmillionaire.com, click on the community tab, and see what it's all about.
This episode is being dedicated to the memory of Carter Hugh Lyon, Brett's father, who lost his hard-fought battle with cancer shortly after this recording. He will be forever remembered as a supportive and loving father, grandfather, and friend. So, Brett, welcome to our show, and actually in studio. This doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, you're special. We've done, 60 episodes, 3 seasons. This is the first episode of season 4, and you're only the second guest we've had in studio. And while you don't know him, our other one was a very dear friend.
Yeah.
So this is quite a privilege, and we'll talk about why you're in studio later, because Brett actually is in Cincinnati, obviously, with us. So anyways, we're going to jump right into it. Obviously, y'all know our new friend, Brett Lyon, and we're going to talk. This episode is all about marketing. So, but the cool thing is, I want to start with, Brett has this really unique story. I mean, I'm trying to think, have we ever had a former professional athlete on the show?
Professional football player.
We did. That's right.
We did.
Somebody that played in the NFL.
That's pretty cool.
That's true.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so our first professional hockey player
Yes.
on the show. And
Yeah.
so one of the things me and Carla are going to make sure we don't do today is get in a fight with Brett. Rumor has it
He'd kick our butts.
Rumor has it he's good at hockey and he's good at fighting. So, and turns out he's really good at marketing too. And we're going to get into that. But
right,
anyway, man, we are honored to have you here. Obviously, we've spent some time getting to know you lately, and we think a lot of your integrity and your character, and we appreciate you taking the time to come to Cincinnati and share your expertise with our audience here. So I want to jump right into it. I always like to start with someone's personal backstory. And I know for those of you that don't know, you won't be surprised when you find out he plays hockey. He's from Canada. I think everybody in Canada and Michigan, where I'm from, everybody plays hockey. That's just, is that how it works there?
Yeah, basically everyone and their dog. Canada's obviously, like hockey's Canada's pastime out there. So everyone kind of grows up learning how to skate. If you can make pro or not, that's the other thing. But yeah, for sure. But I was fortunate enough to have parents that were extremely supportive and gave me every opportunity to be successful at a young age. Yeah. And I think that contributed to obviously my success with hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you said you grew up in a small town. What other than just being Canadian, what made you choose hockey? Did your parents choose it for you, or?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things like before you know it, you're a hockey player. Before you're the age of 3, you're skating. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Before you're
So like literally, you're like learning to walk and learning to skate at the same time.
exactly. Yeah, before you're 5 or 6, you're playing hockey. So yeah, I actually started at 4, which is like pretty young.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, being from like a smaller community, we always had hockey, but it wasn't like as competitive as it could be.
Yeah.
So my dad and my mom sometimes would actually have to drive me to practice, which was like an hour and a half just over a snow pass.
Wow.
Just for practice. And that was like every Tuesday, Thursday. And that was just so I can compete with like a little bit better players, playing like more of like, bigger town, I guess you can call it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know you played, what did you call it?
The
National?
Western Hockey League, right?
Yeah, so-
explain that to the Americans listening.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Or us non-hockey playing areas.
So the Western Hockey League is like the major junior hockey league in Canada, but basically you can be from anywhere. So we even have players from like Russia, Sweden, like on our team, but it's essentially like the best hockey players between the age of 16 and 20.
Okay.
There are other leagues that sometimes people go to, but that's primarily like where you go, if you're good enough. And then that's often the place where people get drafted from to like the NHL.
Okay.
Nice.
So, to be in that league, between 16 and 20 is
So if you want to go,
hard,
if you want to go to the NHL, you're either in that league or you're playing in, D1.
Yeah,
college.
yeah, D1 college.
Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it just depends what route you want to go.
Right.
Some people like to go like the university way, and then that's more like I won't call it fast tracking it, but it preps you to be a pro quicker because you're playing like 72 games in a season.
Really?
Lots of travel. You're living away from home at like a really young age, like as early as 16.
Right.
So I actually had to move at 13 to a city that was about 2.5 hours away, just so I could.
By yourself?
Yeah. Well, I lived in with a billet family.
Okay.
Just so I could, play with better players at a younger age.
Wow.
So yeah, there's tons of sacrifices that went into to getting to even to the point of being looked at in the WHL, especially from a small town.
So you played in the WHL for how many years? And then after that?
Yeah. So I was in the WHL for 4 years. I was lucky
Okay.
enough to play on like some very good teams there, which was the Vancouver Giants, Kelowna Rockets, and then amongst a couple other teams. After that, I actually got to go out to the States. I was playing in Orlando for a little while in the East Coast. And then the following year, I was actually kind of up and down between Calgary Flames farm team and the East Coast. So bounced around just a little bit in the States. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to, play in some really cool cities, especially being from Canada. And all of a sudden, now you're living in the States and on the team in the town. I played in Allen, Texas. A lot of cool places that I would have never have got to go, never mind live.
Right.
I got to, be there and experience some pretty cool things just because I was a hockey player.
So how many years were you pro then?
About 4 as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So about 4 years junior and then another 4 years in pro.
So you were 16 to 20. You went pro at 20-ish, 21, let's say.
Yeah.
You played 4 years in the pros.
Yeah.
So you played to 25. Like that, most people consider that your prime.
Yeah.
What happened at that point that was the end of your hockey career?
So yeah, that's the big question and essentially why I'm here right now.
For all of you wondering why we're talking about hockey,
yeah,
don't worry, we're pretty much done with
I honestly like the reason why I was enjoying hockey playing pro was I think because it was my best opportunity to be successful.
Sure.
And like there was one thing that like I liked more than hockey, and that was just felt like I was becoming something, bigger than just like myself,
right?
So I always knew like no matter what it was that like I wanted to be successful in life. And it just so happened that the year that my contracts were kind of running up, like you can go and play in Europe for about, another 5 years or something. It doesn't mean you have to play like the highest level out there, but you can still kind of get away with it and experience like life. And it would have been amazing to do that. Just I have lots of friends that have done it and had a great experience.
Great way to see the world.
Yeah, exactly. And, you make a little bit of money and you meet a lot of like really cool people, live in some amazing places,
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be like 30 and not know what was next for me.
Yeah.
I felt like there was something like kind of inside of me that was saying like, like if you're going to do something special with your life, you need to, take advantage of this time now.
Right.
So everything that's kind of like, fell into place right around that time. I didn't know what I was going to, like, I had no schooling, no idea like what was next for myself.
All you knew was hockey.
Yeah, all I knew was hockey. So that was like scary in itself, and I was oddly enough just like trying to, make some extra money, and I was in Scottsdale cleaning pools.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not even like I haven't really told the story.
How did you end up in Scottsdale, Arizona?
Yeah. So
because they have pools all year round.
I know they don't have hockey.
I was training out there. I was training out there.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was playing, and like so I and then actually my dad ended up moving out that way like a couple years after. So I knew some people, and I was like, all right, well, I got no job, like no really idea like what's next for myself. I just know I got to get on it.
Yeah.
So I was just doing that in the meantime, and I was in the backyard of like this mansion essentially, and this Venezuelan guy would come out and talk to me, the owner of the house, and he had nice vehicles in the driveway, and he would kind of tell me little business ideas, and I would like ask him a million questions, like about all these things. Yeah.
That's how I was a little bit.
And then about all these things that he was kind of bringing up, like where can I source this? Where do I get that? And then I would go home and I would get on my computer and research them. Next Thursday I would come back. Meanwhile, like this is like my first Thursday I'm doing this. So like, thank God, because I don't know how long it would have lasted. Yeah, it was my first Thursday. So I'm only 1 week into this thing, like, which is good because
You're
if
committed
it was,
to hockey.
yeah, I was not. But I just had it in my head. I was like, I know that something is gonna happen. I would even tell my dad all the time. I was like, I'm gonna be successful.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, like I know you will be. Like just
you had the grit.
Something will happen. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but something's going to happen. And then, so I would go research it. Next Thursday, I would come back, book full of notes, and he'd come out again and then ask him more and more questions. He'd give me more business ideas. So that went on for about 2 weeks. And then one day he's like, listen, like, I can't just sit by my pool and talk to you all day. Like, I'm busy. Like, let's set a meeting. And we set a meeting, and then we actually started a company like the next day. And because
you impressed him with your initiative and your grit and your hard work and your focus.
Yeah, and his thing was, basically you're done cleaning pools. And I was like, thank you, thank you so much. But
what was this business you started?
Yeah. So the thing with that is like there was no salary. There was like no nothing. He's like, you got to like make it or break it. Like you want to be an entrepreneur.
That's working for yourself.
Yeah. So, lucky enough, like I was like staying with my dad. So kind of had like that stuff all covered. Yeah. He's like, and they obviously believed in me and supported in me. They knew nothing about what I was trying to do, but just knew that I had something I was going to be passionate about. And it was actually like selling it was kind of like a digital card, I guess you can call it, but it was more of like a business card, but it was on like a USB. Okay. So it was his idea to like, for like real estate agents to be passing on like this information on these cards. Like you'll hear, instead of like, when you have like a good prospect, essentially you can just give them this and it's got like all PDFs, documents on it. And then I had an idea of like, okay, we can actually put links on this that goes to like LinkedIn accounts, Facebooks, Instagrams.
For all on a thumb drive.
Yeah, all on a thumb drive in like a card format that would customize for like the realtor with their face on them and things. And he kind of liked that idea. And like this was like pre all of this happening.
Social media.
Because now there is like these cards that have all this, and there is crazy successful. And I'm not saying I came up. I'm not saying I came up with the idea originally, but this was pre all of that. So like it was some of it. So we started that, and he's like, I was like, well, we need a website. He goes, okay, go make one. And I was like,
how do I make a website?
I don't know how to make a website. He's like, well, you better figure it out because we need a website. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I went home, like taught myself how to make a website. I made us a website. We needed a logo. Same thing. Started figuring out like where I can source all this stuff. Then it moved from that to we needed marketing. And I was like, well, same situation. I don't know how. So I had to like teach myself essentially. Like you call it, Carla, YouTube University.
YouTube.
Yeah. So went down that whole road of where to source products, China, making relationships with manufacturers out there. So now by the time like this whole thing's like up and running, like I have skill sets in a lot of different areas that I'd never had before.
I'm curious, as you were doing these things, did you think about the skills you were learning and that they were marketable, or did you just think like, I just have to do this for this?
Just got to get it done.
And then later on, you were like, oh wow, like I know how to do that.
Yeah. So in the moment, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire. like this is such a great idea. These cards are gonna go crazy. Like this business is gonna be so big. Like all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until after when like that business like didn't work out that I started realizing that I had like all these skills, right? Because then it was like, okay, like that didn't work out, but like now what am I gonna do? Like, oh, I can build websites, so I can promote myself and like message companies or that I think have poor websites, or go into restaurants or anything that I think have poor websites and talk to the manager and try to start selling these services. And that's when the whole like marketing business kind of started. Like,
so was there like a what do they call it? Like a eureka moment where you're like, bing, like, I'm going to be a digital marketing wizard.
It was more of like, what can I do to
put food in my mouth?
Yeah, what can I do to still be an entrepreneur and still like grow businesses? And then the best thing about like marketing and like building websites is, especially nowadays, like you have to have it. So it's like, okay, I can do this for other businesses, and then when I have something, I can also do it for myself.
Right.
So like, what is a skill that's out there that can be like, essentially, I can have to build as many businesses as I want.
Yeah.
So that was kind of where I really started getting attracted to marketing.
And in the entrepreneurial world, they call that skill stacking.
Yeah.
You're just stacking one skill on top of another. And as long as you keep that first skill polished, you just keep building. And you wake up one day and you have this entire treasure trove of skills that you can use for your own business.
Right.
Or you can outsource and do for other people and be self-employed.
Yeah.
You just did this without realizing it.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so, like that's kind of like where it started. And then I just slowly started realizing like this is like what I love to do. Like, this is actually like the passion behind it. I've started tons of brands. Some of them have worked, some of them haven't. I have an Amazon business that, has done well, with an amazing partner, Joe. And he's
like an e-commerce kind of
thing?
What's that like?
So basically what we do is we manage companies' presence on Amazon. So there's kind of two ways that we'll sign exclusive agreements with them, meaning that we purchase from them wholesale and then sell retail, but we're the only ones allowed to sell on those listings.
Okay.
So we'll create all the listings for them, run all the ads, do everything. We have a team and everything that can do basically A to Z.
Right.
And then there's the other way that's brand management, where they'll essentially hire us for retainer plus commission of sales, and we do everything for them, and they actually provide like the inventory.
Okay.
So I was kind of the marketing thing where I realized that, this is the skill that can be utilized for all these brands. Like you can have a skill set in one specific niche, but what does every single business need? And that's nowadays, like marketing, especially when, this was 7 years ago too. And I know at that point things had already taken off with like the internet.
Yeah.
But still at that point, there was a lot of companies that were like trying to figure out like, how are we going to make this work? And how are we going to move online, especially local businesses and things. So I was like, all right, this is
still a lot of that going on.
Yeah. I think especially the small mom and pops that don't have any, tech knowledge or anything. They're just like, not sure what to do.
Well, that's the thing.
They throw money at people that don't deliver.
And you think that, like this is something like, oh, I don't need a really great website, or I can get away with it. Like, why does that matter for me and like what I'm doing? But now people are really starting to understand, like I'm missing out on a lot of opportunity here if this isn't done correctly, especially with, competing against marketing companies and people who are doing it correctly, you kind of have to be on it.
If you're in a competitive market, especially.
Yeah. And every market now is getting competitive online. Doesn't matter what you do, right? Like, we're going to talk about it, but even laundromats, like amount of times I've talked to laundromat owners and they're just like, oh, no one even visits my website. It's like, they would if you had one. Like, you know
what? That's a great point, because for those of you that are wondering why we're talking about hockey and Brett's former career, we're getting there. But he's I call him a digital marketing wizard, which I think it makes him feel a little bit uncomfortable, but maybe an expert is a better way of putting it. But the truth is, now we're going to talk about his journey into laundromat digital marketing. That journey, we have an exciting announcement coming up that we're going to tell you about. So there is a point to this, so hang with us. If we already lost you, hopefully one of your friends will tell you. You just need to fast forward it a little bit and give us a little bit more time. But how did you get into laundromats? And we know how you got into this tech stacking, and we know how you got into digital marketing in general and realized, hey, I can and correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. I took this obsession is what I would call it, obsessive passion for all things hockey, because you don't get to that level without being, I mean, you're probably really talented, but you also had to be special when it comes to grit and integrity and reliability and all those things too. So you took those skill sets and some of that DNA in you and you translated it into, you realized that your channel was digital marketing. But then to take it a step further, at some point you realized like the niche of laundromats.
How did that happen?
How the demand is so pent up and there's such a big need. How did you end up in that world? And by the way, we're going to offer a ton of value for all you laundromat owners out there. We're not just going to talk theory here. Brett's going to bring some real game changers. So hang with us just a second longer.
Yeah. Well, best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest.
Isn't that what we all say in the laundromat business?
Yeah. Crazy. Like, I mean, if you ask me, you know, even a few years ago, like if you thought I was going to be just focusing on laundromats and working with laundromat owners for, you know, what could be, you know, the unforeseeable future for sure, but, you know, maybe the rest of my life, I don't know. I would say you're crazy. But the way I got into it was I had a mentor at a Scottsdale as well, and he actually bought a laundromat in Phoenix, and it was not in great standing on Google, had about like 3-star review, no website. And it was, at the time when he bought it, like it was kind of an old rundown laundromat. But
we call it zombie mat.
Yeah. But you know, he's an entrepreneur and a very good one at that. I love him and he's been amazing to me. But he kind of hired me and my team to come in, build him a website, help him with Google ads and kind of turn that laundromat around, just because obviously the location that was represented online was not the one that he had because of all like the updates that he had put into it, new machines, etc.
So he had renovated the store, what we call modernized it. Yeah. But the digital footprint, am I using the right terminology? The digital footprint was archaic.
Yeah, exactly. It was just still representing like the old, you know, location. So we came in, started helping him with the Google reviews, giving him you know, strategies on how to improve on those, started running Google ads, built them a website, and they just blew up. Like,
and to be clear, these are skills you already had. You just hadn't run them for laundromats.
Yep,
and
exactly.
This is 3 years ago, 4 years ago?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 years ago now. Yeah. So
and don't worry, he will share later the strategies he used.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're all about bringing the value.
Yeah. So that just kind of started taking off, and like, that was like my like aha, like eureka moment where I realized that this could be something like much bigger. And if this worked for every laundromat the way it was working for them, like we're really onto something. My team that like I've created, and now we'll talk about it, our team, but is like very good at Google ads. Like that's one thing that we specialize in. There's lots of companies out there who'll say like they're going to do everything for you. We like to focus on like the things that we know that we can get results in. That being said, like we do other things, but like we'll tell you straight up, like we're only going to, if we don't think it's going to work for you, we're not going to sell you on a service that we don't have an idea if it's going to help or not. You know? So we primarily use Google ads for that. Built them a new website, and that's when things took off.
From that, did you decide I'm going to make a company focused on laundromats? And
not initially. Kind of kept it still, you know, marketing other things as well. But at that point, I knew like, okay, like this is something that can work. Like, let's see if we can do it again. And let's see if we could do it again. So which is a great place if you're a marketer out there. here's a tip.
There you go.
Best place to find clients is honestly that I found, especially starting like a new marketing company or, one where you don't have like a ton of referrals or have enough money for paid advertising. Not saying at this time I didn't, but I still like to resort to this, is Facebook groups.
Yeah.
So I would jump into like Laundromat Facebook groups, post some of the results I was getting.
Yeah.
All of a sudden my DMs would be flooded or people would comment on it, on the post. And then I started getting like, a couple more clients. And that's when I realized like, wow, like this is really working for pretty much all of them. Yeah. There's going to be accounts that aren't as good as others, but at this point, it has nothing really to do with like our work. Like we know what we can do. It has a lot to do with like the location, what type of competitions out there, et cetera.
Yeah, I always tell people when
budget.
any marketing, you can, you meaning a digital marketing company can drive customers into my store. Ultimately, if they come back or not, it's up to me. And you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do Google ads and run them into my store again.
Yeah.
They're either going to stay or they're not based on my value proposition.
Yeah, and budget and things like that, right? There's just lots of things to kind of take in consideration between like from laundromat owner and laundromat location. And then after I started seeing it just happening and working over and over, I was like, all right, this is something I really want to dive into for like two reasons. Like we're providing like real value and getting like legitimate like results kind of over and over for these laundromat owners. And the second thing being is like simplicity. Like if you're like work smarter, not harder, why would I focus on 10 different niches where we have to create new ad copy nonstop, like which we do for every client, but we have a strategy, I guess, and create like all these different strategies and systems in place for a million different things and get subpar results when I know something's working and we can just do more of that.
Yeah, in our business here in Cincinnati, we've used, I think, 7 different digital marketing companies in the 14 years we've been in business. The first, at least 3, were outside the industry. And I think one of them really knew what they were doing but didn't know the laundromat industry. The other 2, I'm not sure they knew what they were doing at all. But what I tell people I learned from hiring those 3 digital marketing companies was that all 3 of them were learning on my dime.
Yeah.
Meaning they let's say hypothetically they knew how to run ads and all those things, but they didn't know the industry. And
so they didn't know the keywords to use and not
things.
use and all that.
Yeah. And there was a lot of waste because they were learning they knew their industry, but they were learning my niche on my dime. And by
basically we paid for a bunch of ineffective ads before we got to, we're finally seeing some.
Yep. Well, and with
results.
Most of them, we never really saw results or very modest results.
Yeah.
But that's why I always tell people nowadays, just from my own experiences, is, obviously the key to the whole thing is finding somebody that's a rock star in their trade first.
Right.
If they need to learn your industry, so be it. But if you can find a rock star that's a digital marketing wizard, as I call you, and you have experience in the industry, that's kind of, what more do we as laundromat owners want than someone that's already learned on someone else's dime? Because you learned somewhere along the line, right? But you didn't learn on my dime.
Yeah.
You've got things that are tried and trusted. How many laundromats
You learned on your mentors.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
and I think you probably
the
do
thing
that,
is
right?
like those ads took off in like less than 2 weeks too.
That's
awesome.
So it's like,
See, ours did it. So
you
obviously know something.
So, and with that being said, a lot of marketing companies will say we need like that 3-month term initially, right? Because that gives them time to test and figure out what's out there. And don't get me wrong, we say that too because that's fair. Give us those 90 days for us to show you like our stuff and give this an honest chance, right? To see results. I think that's important no matter what.
Yeah.
But if things are done correctly, we've been getting them up and running and being successful in 2 weeks lately, so and that's because we have those systems in place and we've been running so many accounts and we know what works for each niche. And don't get me wrong, that's not 100% of the time. I'll always be completely transparent about that,
right? But
we can typically find a way to get things moving a lot quicker than another marketing company who's not niche specific would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many laundromats have you worked with now, just roughly?
Over 100.
Over 100.
Yeah.
And how many years have you been in marketing now?
7.
7.
Years.
Yeah, 7. I'm getting, yeah.
Don't say you're getting old. We're older than you. You're not allowed to say that.
I know, but I just remember like when I first started entrepreneur, I'm like, yeah, I've been doing this for a couple of years now. And then like the other day when we were talking, I was like, you asked me how long. I was like, whoa, I guess it's been about 7 years. Like, it happens quick, you know? Yeah. So
just wait till you have kids, and then suddenly time flies even faster.
Yeah, I feel like I just feel like I'm just getting started. Like, you know, like I love business so much. It's like my passion. Like I will do this till the day I die strictly because of the fact it's like what I love to do. I can't imagine not doing it, you know?
Yeah. Full disclosure, if you haven't figured it out by now, we obviously hired Brett a while back to run ads for us, which is how we figured out he's amazing.
Basically, didn't he get onto your Facebook group?
I thought it was
so what he was talking about, he joined Facebook groups. He joined Dave's Facebook group.
He did.
And Dave learned about him. And go ahead.
Well, and we were, you know, we were looking for some, between Laundromat Millionaire and Queen City Laundry, we've spent, you know, I guess this has been roughly a year ago now that we met, but we've spent, you know, let's call it 13 years at that point, really focusing in on our products and our services and all those things. And I don't want to say we've ignored marketing. It hasn't been, I'm an obsessive personality, which means you're either obsessed or you're not, right? There's no real in between. And I've been obsessed on my product, my team, even Laundromat Millionaire, building
the systems,
courses,
the processes,
coaching,
customer reviews,
and
all
we would
those
always
things.
like throw some attention at marketing, but never what
or
it
find
really
somebody
deserved.
to pay to throw attention at marketing.
And then it would, you know, it would work, or in some cases it worked well for a little while and then not again or whatever. So long story short, when I saw you in the group, two things got my attention. One, what you just mentioned, you were sharing real results of real clients that were laundromat owners. That got my attention. You were clearly a hustler because you were, if anything, and I told you this, maybe a little overly aggressive, which I actually loved, by the way. You may think that's a negative. It's not. I was like, I can relate to that dude.
Coming from someone who's overly aggressive.
I only have one speed too. I could tell you were passionate.
If you want the results, you can have them.
That's right.
If you don't, someone else will have them.
That's right. That's exactly right. So my point is, I could see that in you. And then the last thing was, you made a comment that you had worked with a couple laundromat owners that I knew. And I was like, wonder, you know, a lot of people jump into our group and I block them, I kick them out because they come in and, you know, they're spamming
They just
people
wanna
and all
sell.
this crazy stuff. And I usually kick them out real quick. But I could tell something was different. And when you mentioned a few of my friends' names, and I won't mention who they are here, but I messaged them and I called them. And I was like, hey, you know anything about this guy? And they were like, yeah, I'm actually getting really good results. In fact, on one of your posts, a few of them even commented, yeah, I have used Brett.
Yeah.
And I got really good results. And some of them even shared like numbers and stuff.
Didn't one of them even said was like, I had to like take down my ad spend because I couldn't service that many people. I was getting so much.
That's happened more often than not. Yeah.
And then when I got on the phone with you, you told me that happened too. Because you were like, man, between your coaching and your workshops, I think you could help my clients who can't keep up with my ads. So anyway, long story short, we got on the phone and I was like, okay, tell me what you're all about here. You know, I was kind of testing you, and I could tell that you were the real deal, for lack of a better term. Long story short, we worked out a deal. You started running ads for us, and the short story, everyone, is that Brett's been running ads for us for about 9 months now, and his team, about 9 months now, and we're growing faster than we've ever grown. Now, certainly I attribute a part of that to our team is better suited for growth than we've ever been. So I don't.
If we can get them in, they're coming back more often.
I don't think,
absolutely.
I don't think your ads could outcompete our team now.
I don't. No, I agree. I obviously like the account's going well and everything, you know, but kind of back to the Facebook group when obviously there's laundromat owners commenting, wanting to get in contact with me. And then all of a sudden there's Dave, the Millionaire Men's, hey, let's set a meeting. And I was just like, well, this looks like an opportunity. I was like, I don't know what, I hope this conversation goes the way I want it to go, because this is something that could be.
Most people when they see Dave Laundromat Millionaire, they're like, who's this clown?
No, I've told you this. It's honestly branding like genius. Like that's the best way to get people's attention. Like nowadays, you know what I mean? Stand out like any way you can. And like as a marketer, like that's marketing 101. Like, you know what I mean? And then you back it up, right? Like you get their attention, you provide real value, and then now that's how you become the Laundromat Millionaire.
Exactly right. So anyway, in case everyone's wondering, yes, we not that we haven't ever had anyone on the show that we weren't using for their products and services, but we wouldn't have somebody like Brett on the show if we weren't willing to vouch for him. He is the real deal. But the fact of the matter is, all this has been really fun. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, we have some exciting announcements, and now is when we're going to bring you the real value. So we hope you got a little bit out of Brett's backstory and how we met, and he is the real deal. But the truth is, we have an exciting announcement. So Carla, do you want to tell them what we're to announce?
Well, I'll tell what led to it. So we're getting these great results with Brett's team, and then Dave comes to me, always ideas coming to me with, and I get a little nervous.
Crazy ideas.
Crazy ideas. And he's like, we've struggled with marketing and finding good marketing people. He's like, I think got the right person doing our marketing, the right team. He's like, but what if we could collaborate? Because we'd been referring people to Brett for a while or whatever, and we don't get any commission or anything like that on it. He's like, but he's getting great results for, the people we refer and everything. What if we could form a company together? And I'm like, oh, you can ask him. I don't know.
She's never spoken to Brett, never met Brett.
Yeah, this is before I had any contact.
She's heard about the results. She's probably thinking, this dude's going to think you're nuts. Yeah. Or why would this guy need you?
So he got Brett on the line and asked him, what would you think about forming a partnership? Because the way we see it is we have the laundromat industry, we understand its needs, and can bring some value from that perspective. And you have the marketing know-how. What if we collaborated and formed a brand together under the Laundromat Millionaire umbrella? And Brett, what'd you think of that call?
I thought it was a little late.
You did kind of respond that way, right?
Yeah, no, well, that's the thing. And kind of back to our relationship originally, and just go to show what type of people you two are as well. When we first started this whole thing, and I started running ads for you guys as well, and the biggest thing was is the value there? You know what I mean? Okay, if we're seeing the value, I'd be more than happy to pass that type of value along to you, obviously your client base or people that within the industry, just bringing value to not only yourself but everyone else. So that was kind of what got my attention. I was like, well, this sounds mostly more like a referral thing. This is where in business where referrals come in,
Yeah.
And you guys were always absolutely not. That's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that you can we're going to kind of guinea pig this whole thing, see if you're the real deal. If you are, we'll pass that along. And in my mind, I was I obviously really appreciate it, because I know, the type of people that you have kind of in your Rolodex and everything, just from the name that you've made for Laundromat Millionaire as well. But at the end of the day, there was always a part of me that was we can provide more value to way more people if maybe there was, a partnership here compared to you just, throwing my name out there when it seemed right, Right. The value that you guys bring, the value that I know that we've been bringing, and now we're just kind of coming together to bring it to, more people within the market. And, it's going to help laundromat owners save money by not needing to test out other marketing companies that maybe,
because we've been there.
Right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, it's of course, this is a business, this is what we're here for, but I truly believe the best way to become successful and grow a business is by actually bringing on true, genuine value. Yes. And just from that first moment when, you guys wanted nothing other than me to do good work, just shows what type of value, the genuine value that you guys are looking to bring. And I know just who I am, that I'm looking to do the exact same thing. Yeah. So,
which is why we wanted to partner with you.
Yeah, together, it's we're going to do something really great and big, and I hope that like I said, at the end of the day, people get a lot out of this within the niche and the market. And
so the exciting thing is, in case you're all wondering, what is this company, Dave? Are you going to tell us what is this company, right? Yeah. So we came up with all these really clever ideas and settled on one, okay? So we're calling our new company LaundroBoost, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Laundromat, take out the mat and put in the boost. So LaundroBoost, it's all one word. Our website is laundroboostmarketing.com. You can go there. You can check it out. We've got a website up, and we're going to continue to optimize it. We are a real business, a real company. We are very excited about the partnership. But now we're going to really get into, and we're probably going to let Brett talk a lot more than us at this point because he's the digital marketing guru. One, what LaundroBoost is, what we're going to do, the services we're going to offer, and our unique value proposition to the market. So, Brett, how do you see that from your perspective?
Yeah. So, I mean, with this currently right now, like you mentioned, like as of today, like there already is a marketing team like in place that we have been using for over 70 active clients at the moment.
Yeah.
That's like the good news, right? So what we typically do like on a daily basis, and the thing that we mostly focus on is Google advertising for laundromats. So everything from the actual creating the ads, helping optimize the Google My Business accounts, as well as optimizing the landing pages. Yeah. These are kind of three main components to a successful campaign. So every laundromat's different, depending on where you are or where you're located, as well as like what services like you're looking to offer, right? So like the four main services being self-serve, pickup and delivery, wash and fold, and commercial. Not every laundromat offers every service. Not every laundromat wants to market every service, but it really kind of comes down to that. Like what are you looking to do? Where are you looking to grow within your business? What what does your capacity allow you, to scale, right?
Good point.
And that's the biggest thing. That's kind of where your workshops and things come in too, because I actually have lost clients in the past that just simply couldn't handle like the pickup and delivery demand.
Didn't keep up with the volume.
Yeah. So basically we have strategies for everything. Just to like start with like the Google ads. If we're running self-serve, things that are extremely important are your Google My Business, right? Because if you're not in that top three, chances are you're not going to get selected. So that's kind of where our ads can help. The best way to get in that top three is by having like really quality reviews, as well as optimizing that Google My Business with photos, correct names and terminology on there, responding to comments, making sure you're super active in there, just with communicating with customers. I always like to think of the Google My Business as like your business's social profile. So everyone kind of has like their like Facebook and Instagram accounts where they post their pictures and they communicate with their friends, right? Yeah. Well, yes, Facebook and Instagram, they have those business pages, but people aren't actively searching for them and going there.
You don't go to Facebook and look for a business. You go to Google.
You go to Google, right? So that's your opportunity to have your profile for your business. So communicating with customers and everything along those lines is very important. Also, finding ways to like incentivize reviews as well within your location is crucial. So that being said, like going up to someone who's using your machines, et cetera, and just asking them for an honest review. You don't have to tell them to give you a 5-star review, just an honest review. And often more times they'll give you that 5-star. And one of
the things we do at our stores is, we train our team to wait for a compliment. If they say, wow, this floor is amazing. It could be something little. Or man, that's the cleanest bathroom I've ever been in. We always, no matter what, nicest laundromat I've ever been in, love your hours. Our staff is trained. Anytime they compliment anything about our business, thank you so much. Would you mind giving us a Google review? Because that helps us grow our business and get the word out to the community. I always call it a little 5-second elevator pitch speech. But you're not begging for it. You're just it's a honest retort to a compliment.
Yeah.
Also to have like QR codes around your store where they can easily scan the QR code and it takes them to your Google My Business page or whatever. But I just want to clarify here that we started with obviously what LaundroBoost can do for you. We can do your marketing, your AdWords campaigns. We can help you with your Google My Business page. We can help you with your website, your landing pages, optimizing all that. But the advice that Brett is giving here is really for any laundromat owner, whether you want to use our services, another service, or do it yourself. He's kind of really focused on you want to make sure you have a Google My Business page. You want to make sure that it's up to date. You want to make sure that it has photos. You want to get those good reviews. That regardless of what service you use for marketing or do it yourself, this is where you need to start. So
that's
a good point.
That's a great point, Carla. And I just want to address that a little bit because coaching clients ask me about this all the time. I mean, probably 50% of the time people call me for coaching. And ultimately what they're asking for is I want to grow my business. That's ultimately what they're saying.
Of course.
And I always find it interesting because I always ask them, if we were to double your business, meaning your volume, in the next 12 months, what would happen? And almost every time they say my business would collapse. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about your processes, your procedures. You know, let's go through there first. And it doesn't take 2 years.
Are you prepared for growth?
Correct. Let's be careful what you ask for, because you talked about people turning on ads and then turning them off.
Yeah.
So that's one side of it. The other side of it is when it comes to digital marketing, it's not always an all or nothing proposition. I found this fascinating at our workshop. Brett did a 1-hour talk to the audience there, bringing some real tips and value on, DIY stuff, like some of the stuff we just talked about with QR codes and things like that. What I found really interesting is you were talking about like Carla mentioned, you can do this yourself or you can hire someone to really optimize it and take it to a different level. As an example is you can run Google ads, but where are you directing them to? Assume the best case scenario, they click on the ad, right? If they click on the ad, where does it go? If it goes to a poorly designed website, then maybe instead of running Google ads, you need to have someone fix your website. And you can have I've learned this myself too, and you're the guru, so correct me, but I've learned a long time ago that there's a difference in something that is aesthetically pleasing to the eye, meaning I go in there, I figure out the school of YouTube, how to make myself a nice, pretty website with some stock photos and things like this. And I, as a lay person, look at this website and think that looks really nice. And understanding things like traffic flow and click-through rates and SEO, search engine optimization.
He's looking at me because I did that with our website early on.
And we did that together. And so the point is, I always say, start where you are. If you are in if you have a zombie mat, I always tell people, I love ozone, Santa Wash ozone. I love ozone. But if you have a zombie mat, you shouldn't be putting ozone in your store yet. You should go fix your business. Go fix your core business. So when it comes to Google ads, and feel free to disagree with us, but this is how I view it, is if you have a poor website, you need to fix that website. If you have a great website, then we can talk about Google ads. But even then, something I found fascinating that I learned from you, because we're always bouncing things off each other, but don't just direct it to a good website homepage. Have a specifically designed landing page for that specific ad.
Yeah. Can you explain to us, can you tell us, because I learned about this at our workshop during Brett's talk with everyone, relevancy scores. Didn't even know it existed. So can you explain what a relevancy score and how important that is?
Yeah. So like in simple form, basically Google will crawl your website as well as like the rest of the internet looking for, your business name, etc. When you have like an ad and you're directing it to your landing page, which is whatever page you decide on your website, rather be self-serve, wash and fold, etc.
So that means like that specific ad, the link that it goes to.
Yeah. So
each ad could have a different landing page.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So let's just say we're running ads for wash and fold, right?
Yes.
You don't want to run ads for wash and fold just to like your homepage on your website that talks about a million different things.
Laundromat DIY do.
Exactly, right? Because then what's going to happen is
because you want them to see all your services.
Yeah,
I've done that. I've literally done that myself.
Because Google is like their customer first, right? Like they want to give the best experience to the customer. They don't care about you, right? There's a million businesses they can send traffic to. Okay, so their whole goal is the consumer and making sure that they have like that quality experience. So if your ads are promoting wash and fold and you're sending them to a page that doesn't necessarily speak a lot about wash and fold, then there's really no relevance there, right?
Yeah.
So
you get a low relevancy score.
And then that is going to, determine like how often is Google actually going to show your ad, right? Because you could have like a lower budget than maybe a competitor, but your ads are more relevant than them. So Google is actually gonna be like, okay, we're gonna show, this company more often because it makes more sense for that consumer for a little bit cheaper as well. So you'll get more out of your budget and, in return, like you're gonna get more business,
Yeah.
That's kind of how like relevancy score looks. And then the way it looks like on your website is you want to have service pages for each of your services, right? Like you just don't want everything on just like your landing page, especially if you're going to be running paid advertising, because this is long term. You're trying to get the most out of your budget, right? So you want to make sure that landing page is set up for success before you even start running ads to that. The good news is at least with us, we have like proven templates that we've worked with for years now to make sure that everything's set up correctly. So if there is a company that's coming to us that wants to get their website redone or, doesn't even have one yet, we already essentially have the blueprint for success, right away. So, put your branding on there, change some copy around, etc. Make it customized to like that location, of course, meta tags, etc. But at the end of the day, it's like we just skipped a step. Like,
what is a meta tag?
So meta tag is basically what comes up next to like the Google search, or like at the top of the like in the URL, I guess you could say, right? So you want that, and also on Google too, yeah. So you don't want on Google where it'll have like the name of like the page, and then it'll have like the description and like everything. So your meta tag sits like somewhere in between there as well.
Okay.
So that just helps you just like rank and then give you like or basically it just shows Google like exactly like what that page is about type thing.
Okay.
You know?
One of the things I've learned in the last like probably 5 years through just trial and error, of course, with digital marketing specifically, is a lot of people think if you're paying a company $1,000 a month to run ads for you, and then you have $1,000 a month budget, they always think, well, I'll just run ads for myself, save the $1,000, spend $1,000 ad spend, and I'm saving $1,000. Well, full disclosure, there was a time I thought, well, that kind of makes sense. You know, you Google, how do I run an ad? You know, how do I run Google ads? You'll find videos and things like that, right?
Yeah, of course.
And you'll find those things, and we've tried some of those things. What we have learned and why we're so excited about LaundroBoost is the best companies out there that run Google ads to optimize landing pages, professionally designed and optimized websites, all the things we're talking about here. Their fees more than pay for themselves in improved optimization of that ad spend.
Right.
So if I said that correctly, basically what I'm saying is that LaundroBoost can spend take your $1,000 ad spend plus our fees, and we can get more out of your $1,000 than you could get out of your $2,000.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm passionate about that is because you have proven to me that that's what you do. And now we feel like as a team, as a partnership with LaundroBoost, we're taking it to a different level.
Yeah.
Because you already understood those things, but now I'm starting to coach you through the process of the little idiosyncrasies of laundromats and pickup and delivery, and you're able to actually even coach clients on, hey, well, guess what I learned at the workshop is do X, Y, and Z, and you'll be able to X. And so I always see it as we're cross mentoring each other.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty, not to talk about a partnership again, that's the beauty of collaboration and a true partnership.
Right.
And I feel like to explain it to the layperson, the way I think of how doing it yourself isn't worth it, in case you don't know a lot about Google Ads, you're not out there yet, is they're pay per click. Yeah. So when we were doing it ourselves, because our ad and all the metadata and all the links and landing pages and all that, marketing stuff wasn't optimized, we were getting a lot of clicks, but people were clicking on it where we weren't really what they were looking for. So it was costing us money because we were paying for their click when they were not our ideal customer. Where with Brett's help, now the ads and everything is optimized where if they're clicking, if we're going to pay for their click, we already know that we're getting the right people. They're the people who are going to actually use us. We're getting customers.
Well, and Brett had to hit on it earlier. Some of that is trial and error. I guess we've all hit on it really, but some of that's trial and error of testing this keyword and then what are called negative keywords. If you don't do dry cleaning, a lot of people associate laundry, drop-off laundry, pickup and delivery with dry cleaning. We happen to offer both. Not everybody does.
Yeah.
Somebody might search for laundry when they're looking for dry cleaning, and they'll click on yours, where if you can create a negative keyword of dry cleaning, and if they're searching for dry cleaning and you don't offer it, Google isn't even going to show your ad to that person. Yeah. And these are just things I've learned along the way through, the school of hard knocks myself.
Yeah.
Any thoughts there?
Just even touching on what you mentioned with budget and just like paying for like a management fee when it comes to, working with an agency other than like yourself, like you're going to skip like that like learning curve. If you're just doing this while trying to run a laundromat, that curve might be forever.
That's something to think about is these things are always changing. Right. It's not like you just have stuff to learn.
But yeah, I'm not just saying that just because like obviously, it benefits like us.
Yeah. Use our business.
I'm saying that because of like the fact that like we work with over 70 laundromats currently right now. Like the price point makes sense. If it didn't make sense, we wouldn't still be doing that, right? But with that being said as well, is like I always remind like my laundromat clients that like we're looking at like long-term gains too, right? Like a lot of this stuff, wash and fold, pick up and delivery, even when you're running like self-serve ads, like those are opportunities to create long-term customers, right? Yeah. So well, let's just say you spend $2,000 a month on ads. That includes like the management fee, etc. And even if you made an extra $400 or something that month in new business, well, on paper it looks like you just lost $1,600.
Right.
But the fact that that's going to happen again the next month, and the next month, and the next month, and those people are back, and they're back, and they're back. Now all of a sudden you've covered within 3 months or so. You've covered our costs. You're starting to cover your ad spends costs. And the rest of it is just going to be reoccurring profit forever. And now all of a sudden, like, we don't even matter. Like our price doesn't even exist to you anymore because we earned it. Like you're paying us out of profits that were generated from, the service.
Right. Yeah. It's the lifetime value of that customer.
It's the lifetime value of the customer.
As long as you can keep them. So make sure your business is in order.
So that's like really important to remember is lifetime value and the ability to like sell different services.
Yeah. So I think it goes without saying we have made an announcement. We are all super excited about LaundroBoost and all the value we can bring to the industry. We are approaching this with the same passion that Brett has approached hockey, quite frankly, and your business for the last 7 years. We are approaching it with the same passion that we have Queen City Laundry, Laundromat Millionaire, all those things. But let's be real honest here. Not everyone needs to hire a professional digital marketing agency, right?
No.
And maybe even not the types of people, but where they are right now.
Yeah.
Maybe a year from now they'll need us, but not right now.
So it really depends on like where you're located as well, right? Like we have systems in place that can make you, or that oftentimes more than not would help you become successful, right? Now, to complete transparency, just like every business should. There are going to be accounts that don't go as well as like others, and a lot of that has to do with like your location, like how rural is the area. Do you even really have competition? Do you need Google ads? Like where's the closest laundromat to you? How many of them are there? Are you already popping up at the very top of Google because you live in a town of 30,000 people and you have 5-star reviews, and there's only 2 other ones down the road and they're a lot smaller than you or something, right?
And I remember too, you mentioned in there, you can go on your own phone and Google yourself or on your own computer, but it saves your search history. So you want to go on an incognito screen.
So if you're just looking at your own, you'll probably still show up because you've been to your website more times than not. But so you definitely want to go on an incognito screen when like checking like that. And then also too, it's like you might only be ranking for that keyword. So like let's just say like you're
always going to search the same word.
Let's just say you're in a city like where you actually do need our services, right? But you're not aware of it yet. If you just type in like laundromat Tampa, for example, and you happen to be like one of the first ones, like that's great. But if you type in pick up and delivery laundry, or Tampa, or even just leave the Tampa out, you might not come up at all.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's the business you want. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
or wash, dry, fold, but then also try drop off.
Yeah. So like just like the basic keywords that you're kind of searching, it's like, of course, like those are the ones that generate like business or like new customers for your business. But there's an array of keywords out there that you're not thinking of that could be bringing business in. Right. And that's where marketing comes in. Right?
Yeah. Any one person, like me, for example, even in the laundromat industry, any one person, if they say, I'm going to search blah, 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 even if you try to force yourself to come up with new keyword phrases, you're probably still going to use the same 5.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to come up with different, go ask your neighbor. Go ask your sister who don't know anything about
Orthosaurus.com.
So what we'll do too is like, and we do this for like every client that comes through, is we'll actually create like a strategy for you.
Yeah.
So we'll create like a business strategy.
Powerful.
And then also like a traffic estimate. So we'll actually be able to look in your area, not specifically down to your location, but like your city or surrounding area. And determine like what are the highest keywords that are being searched and how often. And it gives you an estimate, and then it'll also give you an estimate for the price per click as well. So we can kind of give you an idea of like a budget.
You take that data, and that's how you frame the copy, right?
Yeah. So we'll take that data, and then we'll present it to the client like before even they sign, and say like, okay, here's your business and your strategy report. This is like based off the services that you recommended, your location, some of your competitors.
Right.
We do like a competitor analysis as well. And then here are the keywords that are being searched in your area. This is this is what we think we can rank in. This is kind of what we think it's going to cost. and then you can basically start anywhere in between. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, with that too, it's like when it comes to services, we always, recommend like a kind of like a healthy budget for each service. So like we say, just to get the kind of into numbers, just to have like an idea, if you're thinking about any of this at the moment, is $500 at minimum per service.
Right.
So, then you can kind of go up from there monthly, for an ad or a campaign, and that just kind of gives you an opportunity to test the waters and get out there and start growing those services for yourself. But we kind of do all this for you before we even press play on anything.
Well, and one thing
right?
I want to point out too is that LaundroBoost, something we've talked about that makes us a little bit unique compared to a lot of a lot of marketing companies, is the weekly reports. I have used, once again, 7 different companies before using our own LaundroBoost. And the fact of the matter is, like most of them, in fact, every one of them sent me an automated monthly report. And you talked about it at the workshop. You want to hit on that a little bit?
Yeah, so we do weekly reports that come out every single Monday. And the reason we do that is just to make sure that we're staying on top of the account. So first of all, we're in there every single day. Real people, like staff, like our team is in there.
Talk about that.
Every single day.
Stop right there. Talk about that, because we have had companies, and I probably don't know to the extent you do, but we have had digital marketing companies that we have paid to run ads for us, only to find out they set an ad and they would set it and forget it. And it was just automated, and the ad was just quote unquote running itself. They weren't actually optimizing anything.
Well,
so they did set up an ad, but they weren't going in and optimizing it and changing phrases and searching keywords and negative keywords and looking at reports on a weekly basis.
Yeah, we have real people that are in the accounts every single day. You have you have an account manager for your account. We meet every single Tuesday to go over every single account, meaning my management team plus myself. We'll go over it with all the media buyers, every single account from top to bottom. So we'll go over all those reports that are coming through on the Monday. And this just allows us, and then also we'll do, I have my team, they'll compare the week before report to that week's report to make sure that if anything's slipping, we're on top of it.
Yeah.
So not only are we in there every day, but I'm being let know when something's going on. So I can even pay closer attention to what can we do here? How can we improve? Instead of it all of a sudden it's been a month and then I'm finding out about something that happened 3 weeks ago,
Yeah.
I also had a few horror stories here because this happens. I've also had companies in the past, and this is probably a decade ago, but I've had companies that until they let it ride until I complained.
Yeah.
And then when I said, I'm thinking about this, or is there anything we can do? Then they'll jump on it.
Yeah.
And then they'll get me results. And it took me a while. It took me a while to figure out what they were doing. I was like, do I have to complain every week just to get you to optimize my ads? Isn't that what I'm paying you to do? And it was exactly what you're talking about. They were just too busy, and they would let it run until I would say, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore, or do I need to do something different? And then they would jump in, and all of a sudden I'd get results for a month.
Yeah.
And then it'd drop right back off again. I was like, I shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah. Well, I've done the opposite where I have noticed that accounts have not been doing what they should be. And instead of I'll be okay, let's just give this another month. Let's do everything we possibly can to try to make this successful. Like I said, sometimes it's not us. Every area is different,
Yeah.
And then to the point where at the end of that month, I'm listen, we tried everything. Things that we've run the exact same things for this account that is crushing it, and this happens to things aren't going the way that we've seen it for your account. I don't think that this is worth another month for you at this point.
Yeah.
So instead of just letting it run or waiting for them to contact
We're not
me,
interested in taking your money.
Yeah.
We're interested in impact.
Yeah. And you know what? That client actually sent me another client.
There you go.
That's awesome.
It didn't work for me, but maybe it'll work for you type situation.
A mentor of mine a long time ago told me, Dave, always do the right thing. It's usually pretty obvious what it is. If this isn't working, let them know. And next thing you know, you got a referral out of it. Why? Because of your character and your integrity.
Yeah.
And that's why this partnership, why we're excited about this partnership. One last thing before we go today, I want to talk about geofencing because I'm excited about this. And while I'm still learning, I understand enough of it to understand the impact we're already starting to get. I'm excited about this. Talk about geofencing. And
what is it, and how can it
help?
help laundromats?
Yeah. Okay. So geofencing is very cool, and
and for the record, we offer geofencing. We are geofencing getting very excited about this.
Yeah. So basically, and geofencing, what it allows you to do is draw like a radius around like a current location, like right down to like the front door, or like the parking lot, like whatever you need. So you can actually draw like a radius around a competitor location. Any phone that walks through that line will then ding on our platform.
Yep.
And essentially we're able to track them. So like that's like simple form.
The RFID.
Yeah. So the RFID, so the way that as soon as it walks through, and like it works through like GPS as well, as soon as it walks through like the geofence, it'll then begin to track that phone, right?
Borderline creepy, but for business, also very powerful. So listen up.
Yeah.
Instead of track, should we say like target that phone?
Yeah, well, yeah.
We follow them around the internet.
You're targeting them, right? So whatever, like RFID is associated with that phone will then start to see the ads that we promote to it. So there'll be like display ads throughout Google, like the ads that you see on the sidebars or on like Google websites like YouTube, etc. So that's where the people are going to start to see these ads, and you're going to have the opportunity to promote anything that maybe your competitor doesn't. So like I said, we're drawing a radius around your competitor's location. So you have to think about like, what do they not have that I have? Is my location bigger? Do I have better pricing on this? Do I have newer machines, better parking, Wi-Fi? etc. So think about
differentiators.
Think about that when you're thinking about like what content you're creating for these ads, because that's like your opportunity to then take them from that location over to your location. So then what happens is people will click on those ads, or what they'll do is they can search up your location, in which case they'll see the Google ads that we're also running for you, because they'll be right at the top, right? So they kind of go hand in hand. They're really going to like help each other here. And then as soon as that RFID, so that person's phone walks through your location, because we're also going to have a geotag drawn around your location, then we'll get notified again saying, okay, like that's a transaction. Yeah, that's a conversion.
That's how we know
They
it
became
worked.
a customer.
Yeah, that's how we know it works.
And I want to point something out to people, because I just find this absolutely fascinating. And these are all just skills and services and technology and software that you have to know how to use and optimize. And guys, we really believe that LaundroBoost and the team we've put together, we believe we can help to revolutionize the industry. Just like using the term elevating the industry, people misunderstand that as like we're putting the industry on our back. Not what we're doing. We're just a part of the equation. But we do believe LaundroBoost is going to help take the industry to another level. An example of that I just am still fascinated by is a lot of people talk about geofencing. They talk about geofencing your competitor.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. If you're using a laundromat and you're using the laundromat up the road, that's one thing. But what if we go a little bit deeper and we talk about geofencing similar demographics? Family Dollar, Dollar General, Walmart. So self-serve.
For your self-serve.
Self-serve. You can see what your demographics are. And by the way, when we're looking at, and the audience is nodding their heads right now as they're driving or whatever, because they know what I'm talking about. When we talk about building a laundromat or buying a laundromat, the location is ultimately really important, right? What's most important about that is your neighbors. A lot of laundromats are in shopping centers and things like that. A lot of times what we're trying to do is laundromats in a perfect world want to be built in a shopping center with a Walmart. A lot of times we're not able to, but we love to be able to. A Family Dollar, a Dollar Tree, something like that, who serves a similar demographic. If you serve a Hispanic population and there's a Hispanic grocery store in your area, you want to be right next door to that Hispanic grocery store. Well, the beauty is we can take that, let's call it old school, but it's still relevant today, form of business, and you can take it digitally. And you can start to geofence Family Dollar. And anyone's phones that go into Family Dollar, you can track them around, knowing that there's a high likelihood that they are your ideal avatar.
Right.
You can take it a step further with wash and fold, dry cleaning, pick up and delivery.
Pick up and delivery is a big one.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't just apply. And I just love how our team continues to marinate and look at these different ideas. And then, of course, I talk to other people in the industry and they share, what about this? What if we did this? I get geeked out over this stuff.
Where that idea originated was at your workship, right? Because you had on
Jason all the credit.
You had on the board. It was like, okay, we just want to target this area or this zip code specifically, to try build out that route or route. I'm Canadian.
That's
What do
okay.
you
We
call
can
it?
understand route and route.
Yep.
That's all right.
Like data.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah. So
Yeah, let's give credit. Jason Wormy, and I hope I'm saying his last name right, in New York, is a phenomenal individual and a friend of ours now. He was at our workshop. He's from New York. He is new to the laundromat industry. Jason, I hope you're listening, and we thank you for this.
For sure.
He brought up at the workshop when we're going down the rabbit hole of geofencing. Well, if you can geofence your competitors, why can't you do this? And then after the workshop, I think in the workshop I mentioned, why can't we geofence Tiffany's and run ads for pickup and delivery? And then after the workshop, I was like, wait a second, why can't we geofence certain addresses? Why can't we geofence
like home addresses?
Let's say a gala downtown, a fine arts gala, where 300 people are going to be that are some form of wealthy subdivision. I mean, we've taken it and run further with it, of course.
No, I know, of course.
But Jason spurred that thought.
I mean, that's a thought right there. If you wanted to do like dry cleaning or something, you can focus on like events where people are going to be wearing really expensive clothes.
I mean, all you have
because what
to
do you do after that? You go get a dry clean.
As a local business owner,
that's a good idea.
As a local business owner, it's important that you know your community.
Yeah.
I tell clients that all the time. So whether it's self-serve, pickup and delivery, dry cleaning, whatever it is, most laundromat owners that are in the pickup and delivery business, they can probably tell you, oh, there's a trailer park up here, self-serve. Trailer park over here. There's a Family Dollar over here. There's a Walmart over here. Let's geofence these 10 things and run ads for self-serve. But then let's go geofence this subdivision of $1 million homes, and let's geofence that subdivision.
I mean, people watching this right now are literally seeing firsthand how
we work together,
and how laundry expert.
Yes.
I'm not going to say expert, but marketing guy.
The marketing wizard.
And we have these meetings, and we just start running. And she looks at me like, I'm crazy.
You know how it could work, and I can essentially make it happen.
Execute.
You know what I mean? So like
Yes.
that's wild. That's very cool.
So I obviously I get super excited because at the end of the day, I passionately believe with everything in my body that anyone out there that is let's say the top third of the industry that is running an awesome store, let's just talk self-serve for a second. I believe most of them, without too much trouble, could double their business. Now, pickup and delivery, that's a different animal. Very labor intensive. Even drop off, a different animal.
You have to be ready to scale. That actually takes me back to one last question I have. I had promised early on your initial helping someone who retools a laundromat. So they buy a zombie mat, they do a complete retool, but their zombie mat has a Google My Business. It has horrible reviews. What can they do to fix that?
So unfortunately, when you buy a laundromat, with that Google My Business, that Google My Business will come, with that original.
It's attached to the address,
It's
right?
attached to the address.
Okay.
So like even if you're renaming it, which you can do, there's ways that you can potentially contact Google, but they're not like very responsive when it comes to this stuff. And more times than not, you're just gonna have to be stuck with it. So the best thing you can do is like combat that with like positive reviews. So like you really want to find ways to like start ramping up those reviews. Obviously the best way to get positive reviews is like fixing things on your end, right? Like if they're talking about how the machines are poor and they're old and they're always broken, then you need to get new machines in there if you want positive reviews regarding your machines or staff, etc. Anything regarding like whatever those negative reviews were about needs to be fixed. Once that's fixed, then you can start like you mentioned, like asking people around your location, where'd you hear about us? Oh, it'd be great if we can get an honest review. You can even throw in like a little incentive there, free wash or something like that too, signs around your location. But then as you start to pick up like the more 5-star reviews, it'll start to slowly, bring up like that overall.
So I want to jump in here because I'm sorry, I'm chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
I actually have a lot of experience with this because all 5 of our stores were rundown dumps when we bought them. I've had to deal with this extensively. So I'm going to throw out a few more nuggets. Everything Brett said is 100% accurate, by the way. So let me go a little deeper of the things that I've learned. If you acquire a business, first of all, if that current owner, let's assume it's a good store or a bad store, honestly. If that owner has already claimed their Google business listing, you should require them to transfer that to you on the day of closing. Okay, so what that means is you now have ownership over that Google business listing, because if you don't, they own that and you can't control it. The good news is 99.9% of laundromats that have Google business listings, nobody's claimed. Okay, so first thing is when you buy a store, make sure that's part of the deal is they transfer that to you. When they transfer that to you, you can close it down. You can close down that Google business listing and you can create a new Google business listing. All you have to do is change your name. And
really? Even the same address?
Yep, same address.
Okay.
So you close down that business. I literally just did this with A Million Cleaners, our newest store. Claimed it. They hadn't claimed theirs yet, which I'll say that too. If they haven't claimed theirs yet, you don't even need their permission. All you got to do is go into the Google business listing and claim it. Anyone can claim a Google business listing.
Right.
But when you claim it, what happens is they send you a postcard to that physical address to verify that you're the owner. Well, because you are the owner and it's your address, you're going to get that postcard. You take that postcard, you go into the Google business listing, you put in the code, and they now agree that you are the owner, and then you close it down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So with that too, it's like Google's been iffy with those verifications lately. Sometimes, yeah, they'll be like late.
They do take a while.
Yeah,
and I want to be clear. The only time I would consider
that strategy is a good strategy for sure. If there's a way to, if you can utilize the current reviews that are there and just build up on top of them. It's always kind of best to like do that.
Yeah.
But if you want to restart from like fresh, either you have to, you feel like you need to, that's like, the best way to do it.
To give you an example, the most recent store we bought had an average. The store had been there for 40 years. Now, I don't know how long Google Business has been around, but the store had been there 40 years. They had an average of 2.6.
Yeah, you got to restart that one.
Correct?
Yeah.
Well, so that's my
3,
point.
you could typically get back up to a 4. Like 3.5, get back up to a 4.
Because you're going to spend the next freaking 10 years
trying to
overcome
back up.
a 2.8 review. I mean, you can get 1,000 5-star reviews, but ultimately, I'm all about control. Okay, and I know control can be a facade sometimes, but it can also be very real. So the first thing is make sure you have ownership of that. Either claim it if they don't own it, or require them to turn over ownership to you at closing. Once you do that, then you can even go in and take down a bunch of old pictures as long as they're not customer pictures.
You can't take ones other people posted.
Right, but you can take like if the owners posted old pictures before we optimized or something like that, you can put new pictures up. You can change the data. If you don't own the listing, you can't do anything. You're literally helpless. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not the expert on it, but I have done it 5 times, and I've had a few situations.
No, you got the experience with that for sure.
I've not given up.
I've never seen anything lower than a 3. So
I think all the ones
it was pretty rough.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So the good news is, before we let you go today, Brett, we are excited. Obviously, all 3 of us are excited to launch LaundroBoost, the impact we're going to have on the industry. This is going to be fantastic. Honestly, I just love collaborating with you guys. I've always loved collaborating with Carla, and now we get to bring you in on this. And this is just, I think we're all a little just super pumped.
We're excited.
But the good news is, because you stuck around till the end and listened to my long-winded comments, we have a special deal for you guys. So, Brett, you want to tell them what it's all about with LaundroBoost?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, anybody who mentions Laundromat Millionaire when contacting us will receive free onboarding to start with. And then the next would be is if you're within the first 10 people to contact us, you're actually going to get your ads up and running within 10 days of us having access to your account. So
awesome.
That's, a pretty quick onboarding time. And, we do provide, very quick onboarding time just in general.
Yeah.
But that's something that's like a little add-on for anybody who's eager to get started.
Yeah, so if you're ready to go, the sooner we get these ads up and running for you, the better. The cool thing about it is, even if you're outside of that 10 or 20 or whatever it is, we've built a pretty robust team. I think we're all pretty happy with this, and we know we can onboard you really quickly. And I have, full disclosure, once again, there's digital marketing companies I've worked with in the past that took 90 days to onboard. And obviously you've talked about some of the parameters behind that. Like you have that access to your, Google Ads campaigns and things. You have to be able to put us in as admins so we can physically do the work.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we think we are a pretty we've been testing this for a while now. You've been testing it for 7 years, but we've been testing it at a different level for the last 6 or 9 months. And we're pretty excited about what we can accomplish, but also how quickly we can accomplish it for you. And I know as a business owner, hey, if you can get me results like that, the only thing better than next month is this month.
Yeah. And one thing on that too, if you don't have a website, if you don't have Google Ads account, Google Analytics, or even, access to your Google My Business account, these are all things that we can rather create for you or help you get access to.
Yeah.
So very quickly, like I mentioned, we this is what we do. So,
So check out laundroboostmarketing.com and you can see all the service we offer. And don't forget, be one of those first 10 to sign up and you get quicker onboarding.
Yep. Awesome. Listen, man, this was fantastic. If you guys haven't figured out by now, Brett is serious about this business partnership. We are serious about this business partnership. We don't take this lightly. Brett doesn't take this lightly. In fact, he took it so seriously that he came down from Canada to attend our workshop last week. And then he stuck around so that we could record this podcast. So, I mean, he is a real player in the industry, and I am always hesitant to put my name and reputation on the line for something I can't control. There's nothing I've maybe ever been more excited about than our partnership, mostly because I know we can deliver the results at LaundroBoost, and I also know the need. There's a tremendous need out there in our market, and we are the ideal like A/B test, right? We get to test a lot of this stuff on our businesses, quite frankly, using our dollars to know if it's going to work. We're not going to test these things using your dollars. We're going to test them using our dollars. So pretty exciting stuff. Yeah. Anything you want to add before we go today, man?
No, just thank you so much, both of you. Honestly, I'm very excited about working with you both and just bringing more value to the laundromat niche. So
yeah. Awesome. All right. Listen, everyone, thanks for joining us today. We know this episode went a little bit long, but we hope you get a lot of value out of this. Rewind it, watch it again. If you catch me at a conference or Carla, we're going to be at the Excellence in Laundry in May. In fact, Brett may even be there too.
Yeah.
So come talk to us. We want to talk to you about, our marketing. We want to talk to you about our coaching services. We want to do anything we can to help you. If we can give you golden nuggets just in a side conversation, no charge. All of us have hearts of servants who really want to benefit you so that you can go and benefit your communities. So thanks for joining us today. Hope to see a bunch of you at Excellence, but we'll see you next time on another episode of the Laundromat Millionaire Show. Take care.
Bye.